Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're here with the birthday boy, Paul B. How old is he now? Is he 57 on 58 or 56 on 57? Anyway, my birthday, courtesy of American Musical Supply. What did they send you, Paul? What did they give you? Like, I don't know, a new Gibson, a new Les Paul, or something like that. He's got these like little miniature. He's got a ukulele and a miniature piano he plays when he's bored. I wonder if they sent him like a miniature drum kit. All right, Paul. Happy birthday. Another year down. How close are we to the end now?
Despite the best efforts.
Oh, uh-oh. He's weak, guys. He's not feeling well. Things are going downhill again. Because he'll go from one extreme to the other, where he's, hopping up multiple flights of steps to go pester some mayor of a town or cancel people, and now he's like, despite my best attempts. All right.
Of my former employer, American Musical Supply of Oakland, New Jersey.
New Jersey.
I did, in fact, make it to the age of 50.
Why the fuck do I always do this? All right, so 56 to 57. Okay.
57 years old.
Grand old age, Paul. Yeah, you'd be lucky to get there these days.
Early in this channel, I showed tables or statistics of the longevity of homeless people in the United States. The average lifespan for people these days is pretty much in the mid-70s. For homeless people, it's 20 years less. So that would be the mid-50s.
Is he going to brag? Is he going to say, "Well, I'm so robust and healthy"? Of course, I'm going to buck that trend.
I am 57 years old, and I'm going to die at the age of 57. The only reason
Press X to doubt.
for it is because I was murdered by American Musical Supply.
He was murdered.
57 is 12 years longer than my grandfathers lived. They both died in their mid-40s.
What?
Of course, I never met them. They died before my parents even met. They both died when they went in to visit.
Is it WW2?
Our frontline heroes in the medical community.
Oh.
For simple issues, and they left in body bags. Likewise, my sister Lori died at age 3, so I have lived 54 years longer than Lori. She died.
Is Lori gonna? If Lori lived, would she be like your other sister who doesn't acknowledge or talk about you anymore?
Because the frontline heroes in our medical community could not be troubled to put a stethoscope to the chest of this little girl and listen carefully and think about what they were hearing. So she had to die, and my parents' hearts had to be broken. This isn't the reason why I stopped going to doctors. I stopped going to doctors about 30 years ago because I just noticed that every time I went to the doctor, I got sick. And I don't like being sick. It can be dangerous getting sick.
Yeah, like it is kind of like the offices and stuff like that when you walk in, kind of like a vector for disease. That's why I find like a lot of people who have appointments and stuff and coming in are standing outside. So they'll stand outside, like it's just random people there, and you go, "Oh, what are they doing?" But it makes sense to me.
Sick. So I just stopped going to the doctor, and I no longer got sick for the last 30 years.
Shit.
Of course, I was young then. With all the research I've done since then, I have a much better understanding of why. Your mileage may vary, but the fact is, when you have these frontline heroes shooting God knows what into your bloodstream, popping pills of God knows what into your body, that upsets the natural course of your immune system. And it's amazing how people fail to recognize the...
Yeah, I don't think you'll really want... You don't want to have too many runs of antibiotics, like, in the space of 12 months, because it just, like, absolutely eradicates the natural... What is it, the gut fauna? And, yeah, that can cause all sorts of issues.
The obvious. Such as the fact that they're alive, that they're here. If you believe in the Bible that humanity is not all that old, several thousand years, or if you believe in evolution and we're millions or billions of years old, doesn't really matter. The fact is, how in the world did this species survive this long?
It doesn't really matter.
without those frontline heroes and all of their needles and all of their pills. How did they do it? They were subject to famines and plagues, diseases, epidemics, pandemics, the likes of which our generations have never seen, and yet they survived as a species. The reason is because the human body is designed to take care of itself, as long as you don't screw with it. But if you're going to go into those frontline heroes and get injected with all of this, God knows what, all these concoctions.
Why did you keep calling them frontline heroes? It just, oh, is it? This must be a holdover from the COVID-19, where I guess they were always being referred to as frontline heroes.
Remember when they came out with the polio vaccine? They're going to cure polio. And they ended up giving polio, killing off how many kids? Oops. And this is not a rant against the medical community. When it comes to trauma in the emergency room, people get shot, people have a heart attack. What doctors do there is among the greatest accomplishments of humanity.
When this guy strokes out and they're reviving him in, the and he recovers and he's kind of like back to his best or near his best, will he still motherfuck them? Will he still, make these sort of outrageous claims, or is it going to be straight back to, well, don't trust doctors, don't trust, your frontline heroes?
But when they have these big heads and these general practitioners and the insurance companies, which are all about money, 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 are behind it, and they're behind all the propaganda, everything gets screwed up. So, I'm going to die at age 57 because I was murdered by hateful murderers.
Not much of a wordsmith, are you? Sometimes, Paul. He can tell a story, but sometimes he just says he's got nothing. I was murdered by hateful murderers,
which is consistent with the statistics for homeless people dying about 20 years younger than the typical age, which is when most people in my family tend to die. There's one member of my family, though, who I relate to better than anyone else, I think. It was my great-great-great-grandfather.
Yeah, no one presently living he can relate to, because I don't think they talk to him at all. He is incommunicado. He's been cut off.
He served in the Civil War.
Shit.
One of the things I lost in California storage, when I talk about everything I had to remember my family by, this is one of those things.
Oh my God. He fought for your freedom to have Californian storage.
To my knowledge, the last surviving newspaper clipping, I believe from 1918 or 1919, but right after World War I, big photograph of my great-great-great-grandfather at age 100.
What side would he be on? So it was the Confederacy versus the Union, was it?
And one, climbing into a biplane to take his first biplane ride. Biplane with dual parallel.
That's the last we ever saw of him.
Names like the Red Baron, Barnstorming, G-Forces.
Some Wright Brothers shit.
That's the member of my family I relate to the most. That guy did something with his life. I seriously doubt he sat around snorting cocaine all day.
What? Well, back in the day, I think they drank it. Like, Coke was literally had cocaine in it. So if he was swigging a few bottles of Coke, he might have been actually off his head.
If American Musical Supply had not murdered me, I can't say I would have made it as long as he did, but I'm very confident that I would have made it much longer than is the typical age of my family, somewhere probably in between that mid-70s and 100. And I would have been productive the entire time, just as I have been my whole life. I've lived more than 57 years, done more with my life than most people will do if they live to be 100.
Those first 20, between 20 to 40 must have been like banger years for Paul, because he always makes these outrageous claims. Like, he's traveled the country, he's done all this shit, he's actually an international traveler, and he's just been killing it for 20 years, and then he hit Minnesota and it was all over. His life stalled out.
But that's all over now. A group of hateful people flying under the radar, operating in absolute secrecy, took the life of a fellow human being, and even as I present that to the world here, nobody cares. Since I've had no family for all these decades, I've had to pick a holiday that meant something to me. Of course, Easter means a lot to me. Thanksgiving, as it was given to us by Abraham Lincoln, not the Indians and turkeys and all that stuff, but instituted by Abe Lincoln to give thanks to God. And of course, Christmas.
Would Paul still revere Honest Abe when he kind of knew that he was a bit sussy?
Which was actually a pagan holiday, so I really...
It was kind of a down low brother.
Not so much into that one, but in terms of religion, I picked my birthday. Just makes the most sense. And to me, my birthday is a birthday, and Thanksgiving and Christmas all rolled up into one. So what I would do my whole life was, if I was scheduled to work on my birthday, I would take the day off. If I was not scheduled to work on my birthday, I would, there you go. It's that date I want to celebrate whenever it falls. There might be some occasions where I would take off work longer, like a vacation with
I could give a fuck about my birthday. Honestly, it's just another day for me.
that day in there, but the point is to take that day off. I would stay at home and I would baby myself and goof off, which is something that I don't do because I'm always working. When I'm not at work, I'm working, doing something productive. But not on my birthday. So I would pull out the foot massager, I would cook myself an incredibly good meal with many dishes, I would often do some experimentation with cooking. I would take the time to reflect on the past, and where I'm at in the present, where I want to be in the future, which is something I do all year, but that's an important time to do it. I would, of course, buy myself a gift. When you look at that list in a recent video of all the
those pictures were musical gear, I lost things, so blind, I lost everything I own, everything I had worked hard and honestly to earn over 57 years. Bullshit! You sold off everything before that. You had a whole run of near death and you sold off all this stuff before you got the job at AMS. So, bullshit.
The things I've lost, well, that wasn't all of them. That was all of them I could fit in that video. I've lost tons more than what you saw in those pictures. 18 of those things were items that I bought myself for my birthday over the 18 years I've been in Minnesota. That blue synthesizer, the Mini Nova, and the Zoom effects pedal that went with it, that I paid full price for from American Musical Supply a few months before they fired me.
You're fired.
And I got pennies on the dollar for them. I bought those for my birthday. That's where a lot of these came from. Obviously,
I bet they were still in the box, and like he never actually got them out at any time, and he never played it. It was just like his Funko Pops.
Since I've been homeless the last 9 years, I can't really do that. So what I've done is, since I got the job at American Musical Supply, I would rent a hotel, and I would pull that foot massager out of storage, and I would
get a lot lizard, bring it back, and
that I wanted to watch. Remember, when I had my home, I had 2,000 DVDs,
which
I watched, and the special features, because that was my film school.
I loved special features. I loved commentary tracks over these. Like that is a lost. I guess it's a lost thing where it's just not done anymore, and it's the most fascinating part of the whole fucking process. And now it's like through Netflix and all that. It's like I guess they don't even bother anymore.
All the things I've done in my life, which American Musical Supply has completely obliterated, just vaporized like the Hiroshima bomb.
Shit.
Gone.
We finally got an atom bomb reference again. It's one of those gigaton explosions that they hit him with.
Forever.
For it too.
And in that hotel, I would do these other things. I would reflect on the past, the present, the future. I would get on my knees and give thanks to God for what I had. I couldn't cook a meal in the hotel, so I would have to go out and buy something, but I'd buy myself a really good meal. Big burger, big fries, chocolate shake, whatever it was that appealed to me. Big plate of fish and chips, something I'm just not normally going to have.
Fish and chips, mate. Do they really do that over there? I didn't think it was really an American thing. It's more of a British Commonwealth thing.
Last year was a bit different because I was in that hotel for the 13 months when I walked, and I was coming to the end of it because they were selling the hotel and they weren't telling us what was going on. So under duress, I had to go out and buy a car. That's where I got this piece of junk car. Because I didn't want to buy this car. It was the only car I could get to because nobody would drive me out or rent me a car so I could go out and look for a car. So I took a whole week off last year. That's the one where the HR person forgot to put down one of the days and I'm flagged as a no-call, no-show.
Yeah, she screwed him over.
Even though I had properly requested that day off. Just... the textbook bad management just never ends there. That place had a kitchen, although it didn't have an oven. So I actually did a hybrid, as I recall. I went out and bought some good food, and I made some others and put it all together. But the gift last year was this car. Even though it's a piece of junk, I had to have something. And of course, a few months after I got it, American Musical Supply fires me for no reason except the very hatred I've been fighting against my whole adult life. Hatred, which is stupidity. The one causes the other. They're equivalent. I did have the foot massager there, though. But what about this year, since American Musical Supply fired me for no reason? Obviously, I couldn't get a hotel, so I sat in this car just like any other time. Obviously, there's going to be no foot massage. This is what my legs and feet look like on my birthday.
Blah. Jesus. Yeah, so he must... does he wear shoes or sandals that looks like sandal, like the imprint of sandals? The strap must come over here, and that's why there's so much dirt built up. I mean, it doesn't cost much to like get a clipper and just take them down a bit, Paul. Yeah, I don't know if... I guess the claim might be true where he's just like, he's sitting... So the blood flow is just terrible around here, and it's just the swelling. Because he's sitting all the time.
This year.
Ah.
Here's what happened this year. And remember, The only reason that my birthday went this way this year
Jeez.
is because of those corporate thugs at American Musical Supply, those gangsters, those hateful monsters, who took someone who worked in their midst for 7 years and did a fantastic job and loved everybody and meant nobody any harm and tried to help everybody. And they just pulled their knives out on the Ides of March, just like all those people pulled out their knives and jammed them into Caesar's back at the same time. These people are a sickness. And if you want to have a better world, it's people like that you need to remove from society, which is why I call for proper punishment for these people. They need to be removed so that they can't hurt you or somebody you love, because they will. People like that don't stop once they get a taste of blood. That backstabber isn't going to stop because this company enabled her. That's where monsters come from. The torture and torment of all this is bad enough, but coming up to my birthday, I couldn't sleep. I was just rolling and writhing in agony in this car. I couldn't sleep. It was hot. It's been so hot all the way up even to now. It's still mid-80s, the end of September, which means it's 110, 120 in this car. Who knows? It's super hot. It's unbearably hot. I have no air conditioning. I have no money left to do anything to remedy it. I just have to take it. So I couldn't sleep until 5, 6, 7 in the morning. I woke up at noon, right at noon. Don't know why.
That's a pretty good sleep. Like, that's 6 hours. You got 6 hours in, Paul.
Except that it was so hot. It was just boiling hot, and I had a splitting headache from the heat. Just a horrible headache. A recent video I did was called Heat Stroke, and in there I talked about another celebrity, Benji Gregory. He played the little boy on the show Alf, the comedy show Alf with the puppet, back in the 80s. He recently died at age 46. He died because he fell asleep in his car, and
Yeah, but he's probably coked out of his fucking mind, Paul.
heat took him just like that. That's why the National Weather Service warns that cars can reach lethal temperatures, quote, within minutes. But that's what American Musical Supply threw me into, willfully.
Like an oven. They threw you in an oven, Paul. Throw that out there.
For no reason. Absolutely no reason to fire their best employee. It's called hatred.
Hatred?
The very thing that this world has been trying to fight and overcome from the very beginning. The very thing that causes most of the problems that you deal with in this life. Hatred. Which is stupidity. Evil. The car recently has been stranded maybe 50% of the time. I can't put it in any gear. The transmission's so bad. It won't even lock. When I move the shifter, I don't even have to push the button. It'll just slide through all the gears because it doesn't connect with any of them. So it took me more than 2 hours. So it was after 2 in the afternoon before I finally got this car moving. I had to keep doing the key tricks, all these things, do this 10 times, pat your head, rub your stomach, do all these things that these ridiculous cars require you. I had a little bit of transmission fluid, ran the car, got it hot so things heat up. Eventually I was able to move it, but I was crawling. I crawled to storage. And I go to storage because I had to spend my birthday not buying myself a gift, but selling something that I had worked hard and honestly to earn at American Musical Supply for food and gas. And gasoline is electricity for me. That's what keeps these gadgets going.
That's what keeps these gadgets going. That's chief of his concern. The gadgets, the dumb little cameras, the laptops, the gaming laptop, the fans. He needs them to be working and in proper order, because that's obviously his priority.
So I limp my way to storage, and I go in there, and I barely have the energy to even move things. So I can't get very far in there. I don't have the energy. I'm losing the life force. I don't have it in me anymore. I can't.
What do you mean you can't do it? We saw you go up to Eden Prairie, and you were skipping. You were doing little like kneeling skits where you're on your knees for like 5 minutes. It's like you're full of shit, Paul. You've trotted out that excuse before.
I lift things. I can't. I don't have the stamina. I've been sitting in a chair like I'm in a wheelchair for 6 months, with no showers except for that 1 week when I paid $468 so I could get a shower for 1 week in a hotel.
Yeah,
Thanks to American Musical Supply. The very worst people I have ever encountered in 57 years of life.
Do we have a tally for how many days it's been since that shower? Because he usually makes a point of keeping track of days without showers.
Traveling the world, engaging the world. They are the very worst people I've ever met. What a feather in your cap of AMS. You pissed.
In reality, you never really met them. You never really met anyone from that New Jersey. Like, that is American Musical Supply proper. And you were merely just a subcontracted group that they set up. So you never really met the shadowy, like, dastardly gangsters of New Jersey American Musical Supply.
It's not a homeless man. You're disgusting. You're disgusting.
You're kind of disgusting, Paul, really.
Since I couldn't dig much out of storage, I could only choose things that I had access to with the strength that I had. And there really wasn't anything. It came down to 2 options. It was either going to be my Fender Paramount acoustic guitar. These came out maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. For some reason, Fender, they came out around like October, and they were gone maybe 3 months later.
See, remember, I think it was like maybe a video or two ago where he was like, I've gone through everything, there's nothing left. But I had a thought that, yeah, he's still got stuff that is actually his top tier stuff. Maybe he's getting into the top tier stuff, and yeah, he hasn't gone through it all yet. there's still stuff to sell, and obviously, of course, there is.
I don't know what happened. It's one of the best guitar series Fender's ever produced, and no sooner had they released it than they stopped it. And I was lucky enough to get a Fender Paramount, the same size as my Taylor GS Mini, but this one's mahogany. I recorded the song, a cover of Led Zeppelin's song Friends with it, in the Cougar. That guitar is magnificent, and I'm very picky about acoustic guitars because they're so hard to play. And they're so hard to keep up versus an electric guitar. It is not a guitar I wanted to get rid of. It comes in a custom Fender case with gold hardware and a gold plate that says Fender on it. It is not a guitar I wanted to lose. I worked hard and honestly at American Musical Supply, who calls himself a music store who serves musicians.
Did you actually buy that, or did you take that from the loan library that they had for all the equipment over there?
To get that guitar. The other option I had available was the Hamer XT Junior. I learned about Hamer guitars probably way back in the 80s when I saw Prince playing Hamer guitars. We carried Hamer guitars for the first few years I worked there. The first year I was there, I bought that Gibson Les Paul, the American-made one. The one, the $1,400 guitar that I got $400 for. That was meant to be a family heirloom. The very worst people I've encountered in 57 years, more than half a century of life. You, backstabber, in American Musical Supply.
He's pointing to her like she watches these videos. I'm pretty sure she doesn't.
You reduce someone who had that full of a life to this in their last days. You're disgusting.
Just remember, he does have a new time schedule of end of October, so get ready.
The year after I got that Gibson Les Paul, I bought the Hamer XT Junior. That is also based on a Gibson Les Paul, but it's a flat slab. It's lightweight. It has only 2 knobs, 1 pickup. Simplicity itself. You just focus on playing. Ebony fretboard that was as straight. The action on that was a millimeter off. It was, if not the lowest action I've ever had on a guitar consistently, it was close to it. Fantastic, magnificent guitar, beautiful wood, like a piece of old furniture that had been refinished with stain. Just gorgeous guitar. But it was that or the Fender Paramount. And I had no other acoustic guitars left. Once the Fender's gone, I have no acoustic guitars left. They're all gone now, thanks to American Musical Supply, a music store that claims to serve, not destroy, but serve musicians. So I took the Hamer and I limped down to the pawn shop. And since his car can't drive, what happens is when you hit the gas, sometimes it'll work.
Yeah, that's half his problem, is that he's just over a barrel with these damn pawn shops because I guess he can't work out the fact that Facebook Marketplace exists. Or I think he's made the excuse that he doesn't feel safe meeting rando people in the car park because they're going to jump him or something like that. But I don't know, is not a possibility, but I mean, you might want to take a chance if it's the difference between getting $100 for this guitar and maybe possibly $500 for this guitar.
But increasingly, and lately most of the time, it just revs up to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 RPM, and there's no power. Like I said before, it can take me an entire light cycle just to get through the intersection, and that does not make the Minnesotans behind me very happy. They're only known for Minnesota nice. They're not known for actually, truly, in the real world, being kind people who might understand, hey, this car in front of me's got problems, that's why his 4-way flasher's on. No, you get the horn, you get people zooming around me, flipping me off. That's Minnesota nice. So I go down to the pawn shop. I take this beautiful guitar in there and I present it to them. When I bought that 6 years ago, it was a $500 guitar. The pawn shop offered me $100.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, what could you... I mean, I'm not going to do all the searching to see what it's actually valued at now, but yeah, they've got you over a barrel, Paul. Like, they must think this guy's on drugs. Like, so obviously he's pawning expensive shit and not really even attempting to do the whole kind of like, I'm going to eBay it, I'm going to Facebook it or something like that. So I'm just going to sell it. I'm going to hot sell it because I need money for something. They probably think this guy is a fucking junkie.
And I couldn't take it. It's my birthday. It's bad enough I had to sell something instead of buying something on my birthday. No. So I left, I put it in my car, and
Paul loves like the tragedy porn of his life. I'm pretty sure this is a secret kink. This like, I was forced to, and I'm been coerced to, and the circumstances are beyond my control, so I must sell this stuff, and it's completely tragic, and I'm so upset, but also kind of turned on.
Was going to go to Guitar Center to see what they could do for me. To get to Guitar Center, since they don't bother building roads over the river, you have to take the highway to get there, to cross the river. So I got on the highway, and the engine's revving up between 4 and 5.
Oh my God. So if we're to take him at his word that the car runs this badly, you know, he's a complete liability on the road, and one day he's going to cause some sort of accident where possibly someone is dead or maimed or, you know, live the rest of their life disabled because of this fucking asshole.
5,000 the whole time. The maximum speed I ever got was 55 miles an hour, and that was going downhill. Most of the time I was driving about 40 or 45, the most I could get out of it, while the engine's just revving.
Oh, has he got his hazards on the entire way? So he's driving like a complete shithead with his hazards on. Usually that's where, you know, you're driving and obviously there's been some sort of malfunction or the car is not doing well. So maybe you have to get off a highway or get off the road and you drive at a slow speed with the hazards on. No, he's just like driving already aware of how bad this car runs with the hazards on.
Four-way flashers on, just a menace to everybody on that highway. And if you don't know what it means when an engine's revving up like that,
you are a complete prick, you know that. You are a fucking prick.
That means the pistons are moving 3 times faster than they're supposed to be. Think of a nuclear power plant about 10 minutes before there's a meltdown. That's what it means. I get to Guitar Center and I go inside and this young man's in there who I've dealt with before since I've sold.
Yeah, and think about it, like you will die. This guy, you will smash into this guy or he will smash into you or cause some sort of like swerve out just because he wants to go down and haggle on a dumb guitar. Yeah, not exactly the best person in the world.
More things than I could count there. He's a really nice guy, really nice young man. I hand him the guitar and he's like, wow, just like everything I have to sell. They drool over it and he's like, wow, this is beautiful. He takes it over to his manager and comes back and says, I'm sorry, man, we can't take this guitar because of this chip on the back. And I said, what chip? I've never...
Oh no, is he going to say they secretly got a screwdriver out and went...
played this guitar. I bought it. I take it out to humidify it, to tune it up. Play a little bit. I've never had this guitar. What are you talking about? And he flips it over. There's this humongous chip on there, like 4 inches.
All right, there is a video. I might have to dig it out where he is throwing shit into storage, and he is like stuff's falling over, and he gets like one of these very expensive guitar cases. Obviously, there's an expensive guitar in it, and he's trying to position it all the way up the top of this like rubbish pile, and I don't know if he confirmed that it fell off, but something along the lines of it did get dislodged and it could fall down and like literally cause something like what you're seeing right there. So maybe he's unaware that this has happened, and he's trying to think, oh well, maybe yeah, they took it behind the counter and jammed it with a knife or something.
Inches long on the back.
Yeah, that's
and
that is all right. He's lying. There's no way you don't notice that.
What the? But I couldn't argue with it. It was there. So I left, revved up the engines, put on the 4-way flashers, drove back to that other pawn shop. Now I understood why they only offered me $100 for it, because of that chip. And as I was driving back, I was trying to figure out where in the world did that chip come from. It didn't take long to figure it out.
Yeah. This is your fault, Paul, and you're going to admit to it, aren't you? You're going to admit to it.
If you watch one of the very first videos I did on this channel, you will see me at my storage facility. There's a time lapse in there as I'm digging in there to get something out. And just like I mentioned in a previous video about how piling all that stuff in there makes everything fall down because I've lost all my organization.
You did this. You did this.
You can see in that video the time lapse where everything fell down all over me and then I fell down. And I can't count how many times I've had things fall down and smash into pieces on the concrete floor right in front of my eyes. Well, one of the things that fell on that day was the Hammer guitar in its gig bag.
So this like confirms that this guy is just a complete incompetent boob. Like, at what point do you own responsibility for what you do? Is this American Musical Supply's fault that you stacked all this shit up like crap and had it like so precariously like positioned that obviously you're not going to put a very heavy guitar on the top of like lightweight junk that's obviously going to collapse. So this is your fault, Paul. There's no one else at fault here but you. You can't blame anyone else because you didn't want to take the time and the effort to spend the day organizing the storage correctly so this shit doesn't happen.
A gig bag does not provide that kind of protection for something that falls 3 or 4 feet from above. So that presumably is where the chip came from. So I had no choice but to take the $100 from that pawn shop. And I told them exactly what American Musical Supply had done to me. And they were kind enough to give me $125.
Talk about manipulation.
125.
Like who's to blame? All right, I have a storage locker. I have expensive equipment. Old TVs and vintage stuff. And all right, so I'm gonna stack all this like very lightweight crap on the bottom, and then I've only got one space up the top. So I'm gonna lift this heavy antique whatever and jam it into this little space up the top right corner. Like, what do I expect to happen? What do I think might happen or likely to happen? It's going to likely fall and smash or break something else. And then who's at fault? Am I going to sit there and go, yeah, it was my previous ex-employee who did that. That's their fault.
$5 doesn't last very long, especially when you're burning, what, 10, 15, sometimes a year, $20, $25 a day in gasoline. Now, I can't really do that right now because the air conditioning doesn't work, so what's the point of running the car? But to keep the batteries working and the computer working, yes, I have to run the car. So I'm still burning that much gasoline a day. It wasn't going to last long. I thought seriously about going out and getting a meal, but given that I can't drive the car safely, and that would take away, what, 10, 20% of the money I'd just gotten, I couldn't do it. So on my birthday, I didn't...
Surely there is a place you can park that has everything you might need. But I think the problem would be it's closer to people, and that means, crackheads and junkies and Somalians like looking into his car and trying to steal absolutely nothing.
did not get a hotel. I did not get films. I did not get to cook myself a great meal. I did not get to buy myself a meal. I did not get to baby myself. I did not get a foot massage. I had to deal with this filth, swollen, filth-encrusted legs that I've had for 6 months with no shower. Exactly as I told American Musicals why would happen.
No, you've had a shower. You had a shower like 3 months ago. 2 months ago? Something like that.
More than 6 months ago. There is no place to shower. I will not shower again if I lose this job. I told them that. Clearly.
Well, you did. You paid for it, and it was like 3 months ago. So stop saying 6 months.
Picture it, right where we were the last time I told them, of the several times I told them. I did not buy myself a gift. I sold the gift I bought myself for my birthday 6 years ago. It was misery. It was not fun. It was not a good day. It was.
What would they would have given him for that guitar if he hadn't chipped it? So they gave him 125, possibly 200, 250.
A bad day.
September 1960, destined to be killed by. Oh, is this Laurie? No, so cute. Or is this like a stock photo of a baby? It's not related to him. Destined to be killed by backstabbers and hateful bigots who run a music store. Or is that Paul? Or was it the sister? I can't really tell. But I think this might actually be some sort of stock AI photo or something like that. Oh, you fucking idiot. I knew it. You had me for a minute. I was like, that looks a little bit too nice. And it doesn't look really, it's hard to gauge. Sometimes, like, kids and babies sometimes have very distinct facial features that obviously look like their parents or whatever, but that one looked weirdly not like Paul and might have been a female. Yeah, it's weird how it's getting a bit weird how I can just call out his bullshit before he even winds up to make the excuse or whatever he does. Yeah, I guess it took him a little while to figure out what he had done, but in the moment, and I would probably protest that he knew going in that had a big chip and he knew exactly where it came from, but obviously he's trying to manipulate them into giving him a better deal through a sob story. Yeah, I don't know. He's running this car knowing it has all these problems. He has to put on his hazards and go on a busy highway just to haggle over, $25. Because they only gave him $125 and the pawn store would only give him $100. And he's literally putting people's lives in danger, in immediate danger, by driving something that's completely unroadworthy. At some point, where do you draw the line? Where, does it become criminal at some point? Criminal negligence. You obviously were running a vehicle that is so highly compromised that it can't be. It's not really roadworthy anymore, and yet he's still doing it. He's still getting on busy highways and byways and going like probably well below the speed limit. He has his hazards on, but still, it only takes one thing to go wrong because he's really countering the flow of traffic. And it could have been someone else's birthday who he ends up murdering. Anyway, guys, so we're gearing up for the end of October, and hopefully he sees Halloween. Halloween's always a fun little holiday. And the Americans, you Americans really do it right over there. So hopefully he gets Halloween, celebrate a bit of Halloween, go crazy, go nuts, you know, dress up as Michael Myers and harass people in Eden Prairie, and then after that he can maybe. But if he's Michael Myers, he might not be able to die. He's like eternal. All right, guys. Happy birthday, Paul. You fucking scumbag. And I'll probably see you here next year. This time next year will be 58, I guess. Alright guys, till next time.